Very good morning, dear students. How are you? Hope you are all well. So let's come back to our studies. Now we're going to study about the anatomy of liver. Now regarding the liver is a reddish brown, wedge shaped organ and it has two lobes and these lobes are of unequal size and shape. You can see the two lobes. This is the right lobe and here is the left lobe. We can also see over here gallbladder, gallbladder and some ligament that is known as the falciform ligament. Liver is a very interesting organ, believe me, and it's very easy. Let's study now. First of all, I hope you remember the regions of abdominal area. We have divided abdomen into 9 quadrants and these are, let's quickly revise once again. Starting from left side, left hypochondriac region, epigastric region, right hypochondriac region. Below that is left lumbar region, umbilical region, right lumbar region. Then you have the left iliac region, hypogastric region and the right iliac region. So these are the quadrants of quadrants of abdomen. And our organ which we are going to study today, that is the liver. It is the largest single organ in the human body. And what's the weight of this organ? It weighs about 3 pounds and it's roughly the size of a football. And where does it lie? It is located in the upper right hypochondrium. This is the right hypochondriac region. Here is the liver. You can see this. It is also extending into the epigastric region, but mainly it's in the right hypochondriac region. Right hypochondriac region or hypochondrium. Same thing. Now let's see the features of liver. We know it's a massive organ and it has two lobes, a left lobe and a right lobe. What else we can see over here? Gallbladder, gallbladder, and emerging through that is the cystic duct, and here is the hepatic duct and they unite together to form the common bile duct. Okay, let's see one more slide to show you the two lobes. See the extent of the right lobe. This is the right lobe. Here is the left lobe. We are seeing the posterior inferior view of the liver. Then we can see two areas different which are present in the between the right lobe and the left lobe. In fact, these are the parts of the right lobe and these are above one, superior one is the caudate lobe and the inferior one or the below one is the quadrate lobe. Please see caudate, quadrate, caudate, quadrate. Okay. Now there is one more structure between the caudate lobe and the quadrate lobe and that area is known as porta hepatis. That is the gateway of liver. Hepatis word means related to liver, hepar. Okay, so here is the porta hepatis which consists of 3 structures. In fact, it is known as portal triad, and these are the structures which constitute in this area are hepatic portal vein, hepatic artery and a bile duct. So portal vein, I can say like this also, portal vein, artery, hepatic artery and a bile duct. So these 3 structures constitute the portal triad. So let's revise once again. Right lobe, caudate lobe, quadrate lobe, the left lobe. Okay, here is the inferior vena cava. There is a groove for the inferior vena cava in which the inferior vena cava lies. Done. So let's see the portal triad once again. The portal vein, hepatic artery and the bile duct. Porta hepatis. They constitute the porta hepatis. Let's study about the external features of liver. First of all, we're going to study about the surfaces of liver. Now, the liver has two surfaces. One is diaphragmatic, another is visceral. Diaphragmatic means that surface that is in relation with the diaphragm, and visceral is that surface which is in relation with the various viscera. Now, diaphragmatic surface, that is the surface which is in relation with the diaphragm, is the anterosuperior surface of the liver. So, the diaphragmatic surface is constituted by superior surface of the liver, anterior surface of the liver and the right surface of the liver. While the visceral surface of the liver is the posterior inferior surface of the liver. I'll show you the slide, don't worry. Just remember two surfaces. The names are diaphragmatic surface, the visceral surface. So if we count the surfaces now, so total number of surfaces are now 5. What are these? Superior, anterior, right, also known as right lateral surface, posterior and inferior. So these are the 5 surfaces, and out of these 5 surfaces, inferior is well defined. Let's see the surfaces. Now we are going to see the superior surface or the superior view of the liver first. So this is the superior surface of the liver. Superior. Here lies the inferior vena cava. Then we see the anterior surface. Anterior surface of the liver is this surface. Right surface is over here. So 3 surfaces are superior, anterior and right. And if you see over here, sorry, this is the border and this is the inferior border. Inferior border. Here lies the gallbladder. We can see over here, gallbladder. So on the inferior border, you can see 2 structures. One is the ligamentum teres. Ligamentum teres over here, the falciform ligament which is coming from above, and ligamentum teres. Here lies the gallbladder, and they are in relation with which border? With which border of the liver? Inferior border. So 3 surfaces and inferior border. I hope it's clear to you. Now let's see from this side. Yes, so we are seeing the posterior inferior surface of the liver, and here we can see one ligament, ligamentum teres. Here lies the gallbladder, the caudate lobe and the quadrate lobe, the right lobe and the left lobe, and the inferior vena cava. And surface is posterior inferior surface. Posterior inferior surface. Now, let's after discussing the surfaces of liver, let's discuss the borders of liver. We've already seen that inferior border is sharp. It's sharp, and it is separating the anterior surface from the inferior surface. Now, if you follow this inferior border, its anterior part is marked by 2 structures. One is the interlobar notch for ligamentum teres. Another is cystic notch, that is for the fundus of gallbladder. That is for the fundus of gallbladder. Let's see. Now we can see over here, this is for the ligamentum teres, another is for the fundus of gallbladder in the cystic notch. Okay. One more slide showing you the anterior view and the posterior view. What structures we can see in the posterior view? The inferior vena cava, of course, yes. The gallbladder, and this is the area for the ligamentum teres or teres ligament, one and the same thing. Okay. Here lies the porta hepatis, which we already discussed. Now, a very important point. Please listen carefully. Now we are going to study about the relations of liver. Relations of liver. And these are of two types, two kinds. One is the peritoneal relations, another is the visceral relations. Now, just imagine you like some dress or say a shirt which was your favorite when you were a 5 years old kid, but now you have grown up, but you still love that shirt and you want to wear it. Will it be possible now if you try to adjust yourself in that small shirt? What will happen? Will you be able to wear that shirt? No. Yes, already you can make out we cannot wear that shirt, so it is going to tear apart. We don't want that otherwise. But in the same way, liver initially is a small organ embryologically. When you study the embryology of liver, it's a small organ initially, but it is a massive organ now. So, but there is a structure. You must have studied about peritoneum. Peritoneum is a layer which covers the liver. But since liver is a massive organ, so now peritoneum is not there on the liver. So these areas where the liver is not covered by the peritoneum, they are known as the bare areas. Bare areas. And this is a very important question. You must remember, it can come in your profs. Write down the peritoneal relations of the liver or draw a diagram showing the peritoneal relations of the liver. Let's see one by one. The first is the triangular bare area on right posterior surface. Right posterior surface, and there are two coronary ligaments, superior as well as inferior, and right triangular ligament. Let's see what do we mean by this. This is the bare area of the liver where peritoneum is absent, not there. Then the peritoneum forms the coronary ligaments, superior as well as inferior. And here it forms on the right side forms a right triangular ligament. On the left side it forms the left triangular ligament. We can see one more slide. This is a superior view of the liver. What we can see over here is the coronary ligaments. And these two coronary ligaments on the right side forms the right triangular ligament. On the left side they form the left triangular ligament. We are seeing the superior view of the liver. Fine. This is one diagram given in your books showing you the bare area of liver. Here lies the inferior vena cava. This is the coronary layer or the superior layer. Here again is the coronary layer or ligament, the inferior layer, and together they form the right triangular ligament on the right side. On the left side it forms a left triangular ligament, and here in the anterior surface it forms the falciform ligament. Falciform ligament which we saw on the anterior surface of the liver. Second is the bare area is where there is a groove for the inferior vena cava. That is also the bare area of liver. Third bare area is where there is a fossa for the gallbladder. Fossa for the gallbladder. Then is the coronal ligaments, yes, superior and inferior layers, and lesser omentum. Lesser omentum. Let's see once again. This is the slide showing you, yes, the porta hepatis. Here lies the groove for the inferior vena cava, which is also the bare area, okay, of the liver. We just talked about lesser omentum. Now, lesser omentum is present on the, this is stomach and this is the lesser curvature of the stomach, and here lies the lesser omentum. And the omentum, which is in relation with the liver, is known as the hepatogastric ligament. Hepatogastric ligament. So this is the lesser omentum. Okay. So there are 5 areas we discussed. These are the bare areas of liver where there is no peritoneum. Now let's see the bed of liver. That is, what are the various structures which are in relation with the, which are various viscera which forms some relation, that is, they form the bed of the liver. What are these viscera? Starting from the left side, the first is the esophageal impression. Esophageal impression means that is the impression for the esophagus. Here lies the gastric impression. Gastric impression. Gastric impression. Now we can see this, the same thing in another slide that is more clear to you. Here lies the gastric impression, the esophageal impression over here. This is a model. That was the original. That was also not a model, but it is a schematic diagram. Here is the model of the liver in which we can see the relations of the liver. Let's start once again. From the left side is the esophageal impression. Then is the gastric impression. Gastric impression, you can see. Here lies the pyloric impression. Pyloric, this is the area for the pylorus of the stomach. So pyloric impression. Here is the gallbladder. Then is the colic impression. Colic impression. Above the colic impression is for the duodenum. That is a duodenal impression. On the right side, yes, is the renal impression, and above that is the suprarenal impression. So these are the, this surface is showing you the relations with the various viscera which are present on the surface, on the posterior inferior surface of the liver. Okay. Rest things you know, that is a groove for the inferior vena cava. This is the round ligament or ligamentum teres of the liver. One thing I want to just repeat once again, that round ligament is, or teres ligament. What is this? It is the remnant of the umbilical vein. It is the remnant of the umbilical vein. You will study in embryology, and it divides the left part of liver into medial and lateral sections. Okay. Now we'll study about the blood supply. Now, blood supply of liver. The liver receives a blood supply from 2 sources. Yes, the hepatic artery, which delivers the oxygenated blood from the general circulation. Another is the hepatic portal vein. Hepatic portal vein, which delivers partial deoxygenated blood from small intestine, which contains the nutrients. So, 2 sources are hepatic artery and the hepatic portal vein. Here lies the common hepatic artery and the portal vein. They are going to supply the liver. We are talking about the arterial supply. We can see the hepatic artery, which brings about fresh blood from the heart, and the portal vein, it brings about blood from the intestines to give the nutrients to the liver. Now regarding the venous drainage, Arterial supply is clear. Now we'll come to venous drainage. Now the circulation of venous blood for the liver is by portal vein. This portal vein is a vein which is formed by the union of joining of two veins, superior mesenteric vein and the splenic vein. Superior mesenteric vein and the splenic vein, they form the portal vein, and they drain into the sinusoids of the liver. They further divide into the central veins of the liver, which drain into the hepatic veins to be returned to the inferior vena cava. Please don't confuse yourself. It is very easy. Venous drainage is through the interlobular veins, then sinusoidal veins of the liver, then central veins, and then the hepatic veins, and finally into the IVC, that is the inferior vena cava. This is the whole chart, you can say, or the whole scheme of the drainage of the venous blood. And hepatic veins, they are of two groups, upper group and the lower group. Upper group is larger veins. The large veins constitute the upper group, and these are right, left and middle, and the lower group is constituted by variable number of small veins. Let's see. Now the interlobular vein. Interlobular vein, okay. Then from the interlobular vein they enter the sinusoids. Sinusoids of the liver, which drain further into the central vein. Central vein, which further divide into the hepatic veins. Hepatic veins, major and minor. That is, major are the upper group, that consists of right, middle and left hepatic veins, and from the hepatic veins they drain into the inferior vena cava. These interlobular veins are nothing but these are the branches of the hepatic portal vein. So starting is from the portal vein. Is it okay with you? Please, if you have any doubt, you can text me, you can let me know. So let's see now the major hepatic veins, right, middle and left, and they drain into the IVC, the inferior vena cava. Now regarding the lymphatic drainage and nerve supply, lymphatic drainage is superficial as well as deep. Superficial lymphatic drainage is that the drainage is into the hepatic, caval, paracardial, celiac lymph nodes, and the coronary ligament. The coronary ligament, they directly drain into the thoracic duct. Thoracic duct. While the deep their deep lymphatic drainage is into the hepatic lymph nodes. The nerve supply is via sympathetic and parasympathetic, and that is by the hepatic plexus. See this diagram? We can see the hepatic nodes, the celiac nodes. So there are two groups, superficial and deep, and they drain respectively into these nodes. Now a very important point, that is the hepatic segments. This can come as a short note in your exam, and let's study now hepatic segments. The hepatic segments are the segments that was given by Cournot, and there is a classification known as Cournot classification. Now these hepatic segments are the subdivisions of the lobes of the liver. These are the subdivisions of the lobes of the liver, and they do not correspond with the anatomical lobes we discussed earlier. They do not correspond with that. In fact, the basis of division is by the hepatic artery, portal vein and the biliary ducts. Please listen carefully. The basis of this division is hepatic artery, portal vein and biliary ducts. And the division is based on the planes. And what are these planes? Along the first point is along the line joining the cystic notch with the inferior vena cava. Remember the cystic notch where gallbladder is there? A line which joins the cystic notch with the inferior vena cava is one plane. Another plane is passing through the fossa for gallbladder, and third plane is passing through the middle of the caudate lobe. So the division is based on these planes, and The structures are hepatic artery, portal vein, and biliary ducts. Let's see the division. The line, the plane from the inferior vena cava to the cystic notch. This is the plane of separation. This is one of the plane. Caudate lobe, that is on the posterior aspect. So they have divided according to that, and these are the liver segments. The segments are the first one, which we cannot see over here on the, because caudate lobe is present on the posterior aspect. So the first number, the first segment is caudate lobe posteriorly. Then second is left superior lateral segment. It is left superior lateral segment. Left inferior lateral segment. Yes, left superior lateral segment, left inferior lateral segment. Then left superior medial segment, left inferior medial segment. Yes, 4A and 4B, easy to remember. Fifth is right inferior anterior segment. This is present anteriorly. It is present on the right lobe, on the right side. So right inferior anterior segment. Then is the right inferior posterior segment. Right superior posterior segment. And finally, right superior anterior segment. It is easy to remember, don't worry, just have a look every day on all the numbers, then you can memorize this way. Just give 2 minutes for this diagram, just have a look. So these are the 8 segments which are given by Conoids number. This is a Conoids numbering system. And why do we have divided this? Why we need to have such division? The division is done because it has the role in many diagnostic and therapeutic applications in interventional radiology and surgery. Certain procedures like biopsy, portal vein embolization. Now that is a procedure in which one side of the liver is induced for growth. That is for conditions like hepatocellular carcinoma, primary liver carcinoma. In those procedures, we do the portal vein embolization. Then another is the transjugular intrahepatic portosystemic shunt. That is TIPS, 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 transjugular intrahepatic portosystemic shunt. That is a procedure in which a tract is created. A tract is created to connect two veins in liver. Then in conditions like tumor resection or partial hepatectomy, means removal of the part of the liver, partial hepatectomy, and these are required for transplantation. Transplantation. And such advanced planning will reduce intra and post-operative difficulties and complications. So that's why hepatic segments are very important. So these are the hepatic segments, the 8 segments we discussed. These are the segments. You can be asked to draw a diagram showing the hepatic segments. Now what are the functions of liver? Yes, liver has many functions. For example, storage of nutrients, breakdown of RBCs, erythrocytes, bile secretion, synthesis of plasma proteins. So there are many functions. Also, it helps in the synthesis of cholesterol. So finally we come to the applied aspect of liver. You can see over here, this is the healthy liver. So nice. Covering of the liver is known as Gleason's capsule. Gleason's capsule, glass-like covering, okay? Gleason's capsule. This is a case of chronic hepatitis. Hepatitis means inflammation of the liver which lasts more than or up to 6 months at least. Then this is the liver cancer. So these are the various types of liver conditions: healthy, chronic hepatitis, and liver cancer. Then cirrhosis of liver. Most common cause is alcoholic. There are so many causes. So cirrhosis of liver. Then there is a condition, you can see that is a chronic hepatitis. You can see the various prominent veins. This occurs in portal hypertension. So this is a condition of chronic hepatitis when there is inflammation of liver that lasts at least 6 months, and the causes are hepatitis B and C viruses, and there are certain drugs also. You can see the condition of the patient. I hope the lecture is clear to you. You are clear with the liver, the various features, and if you have any queries, please do ask me. Thank you so much and have a nice day.